Yeah, it doesn't matter where she's at.
Just go like flash, website. Flash, that's why I highlighted this.
Those who just came in, do you have a paper and pencil? No, you just have
Everyone is here. Because he gets it. It doesn't go directly. He gets it, but he relays it to Marty. I know it's ridiculous. It's supposed to be this week and by like Thursday. First option, and if you win, you win. If you lose, you're not. So much more
Hello, everyone.
Justice Center. It's Justice Center.
I think we have like almost half of our third grade families represented here this evening, so it's awesome that you're able to come out, and I promise you, we're not going to keep you a very long time. We know how important your time is, and it's been a long day for all of us. But I am here to say thank you so much for taking time this evening to come out and hear about an exciting learning device, a learning tool that Cardinal Bernardine is thinking about. Well, we will be hopefully piloting this next year, but thinking about this long term for the intermediate grades. But before we get into sharing of that information with you, I would just like to say a prayer on behalf of all of us. So in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is discord, unity. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is error, truth. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is sadness, joy. And where there is darkness, light. Lord, grant that I may not so much seek happiness for myself, to be consoled as to console, to be loved as to love, to be understood as to understand. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Amen? Amen. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Well, just a quick direction for you. As you came in, you were handed a piece of paper, and you can see obviously what's there. If through the presentation this evening you have questions, rather than have us entertain your questions at the moment you have them, could you write them down for us, and then we will entertain those questions at the very end. We want to pack in as much information as we can for you this evening, and then address your questions afterwards. So with that, I'm going to ask Winnie, Ms. Lau, to come up, and you're going to run a few slides for us, as I understand it, so we can get started.
All right. This is our pilot proposal for the 2014 school year. Our goal is we would like to have the LearnPad tablets in the 4th grade for the 2014-2015 school year. Pretty simple. And here's the thought. Why do many of the classrooms in 2014 look just like the classrooms of 1914? Even though there's been much talk about educational reform and things like that, we, however, at CJB, we want our classrooms to look like this. We want students to be engaged. We want them to be digital learners. We want them to be connected to the global community. And educational reform is happening now, and we want CJB to be at the forefront of this reform. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Clicker, and I'll go back to the camera.
Hello, I'm Penny Drown, and there's a lot of new faces here, and some familiar faces, I won't say old faces. But I am the team leader for the 4th grade, and I don't want to say troublemaker, but I saw the presentation on the LearnPad, got real excited myself, asked to borrow it over Easter vacation, spent some quality time with it over Easter vacation, then brought it back to the 4th graders that I currently have, and we played with it for a week before we had to sadly return it. And I went to the team, talked to our tech team that's been researching different tablets for the last year, and said, oh, I feel like being an adventurer. And those that have experienced fourth grade with me know that we always read a story, a read aloud every year about being an adventure and trying new things and working and not giving up. And that's kind of where I'm at tonight and why I'm with you. So with that being said, why should CJV respond to, or how should CJV respond to educational reform, and why should we respond to educational reform? Well, we definitely want to maintain our blue ribbon status. We want to stay competitive, not just with our local schools, but we want to stay competitive in the education world. We want to be at the forefront. We want to and have to meet the new Illinois state standards and surpass them in many ways, as well as create 21st century digital learners, which we have. I mean, they are going to have jobs that haven't even been created yet, and we know technology is not like a passing fad. It's here to stay. What I loved most about the LearnPad is the safe environment. Looking at many of the different options, and our tech people will describe it in better terms than I can, but as an educator, as a teacher who's had iPads and netbooks and desktops and laptops and whatnot in the classroom, there is always that worry even with firewalls, and you'll hear about the special features that the LearnPad offers and the guidance that's put in the hands of the teacher to dole out, for lack of a better word, when the students are ready, different applications, different tools that are part of the LearnPad for us to use. Provide differentiated instruction based on your child's needs. And I don't want to say individual instruction, but so often kids will be doing a worksheet and you walk around the room and you go, oh, they've got it. Oh, needs a little more help. You can't just stop the class right then and there and point out the one that needs a little more help and the ones that have it. But on the LearnPad, you can somewhat prescribe different practice for different levels of learning. And then allow for tighter learning management structure. Basically, the teacher would have the tool to look at and see where the students are within different subject areas and make sure that they're on task, that we're not, and it would not be a digital device where they can just go off on their own. When I say prescribed, it truly is guided by the teacher what activities they're able to open and use at various times. Things can be added, things can be taken away, things can be closed, things can be opened. So it is a neat device, which you'll see in a bit. How does CJV respond then to the need for educational reform? Well, we know that students need to learn how to be self-directed and how to, again, stay on a task till it's completed, do the best that they're possibly capable of doing. And I see some students in here and they're going, yeah, we've heard that before. But this tool is also very engaging to keep children attentive, to keep them on task. I say I've had, I'll go ahead and date myself. This is 31 years of teaching for me. 31 years, 32 next year. And truly every year there's something new. Every year there's something that I have to do differently. I don't think I could say I'd be doing this for 32 years if I was still doing the same thing I did even 10 years ago. I mean, not only is the world changing and education changing, students are changing, teachers are changing. So another tool to meet those changes. The LearnPad does provide, as well as technology provides, a plethora of resources for educators, for students. It is e-textbook ready. Our social studies text is already online, and this tablet will work with any of the textbooks that are available online. And then 21st century assessments are supposed to be working towards being done digitally. And again, time, feedback, immediate for students. I've been a language arts teacher for the whole 32 years, and one of the things that I dream about is a technology assisted writing program where the kids can actually be working on writing and, Bing or some kind of a little bubble comes up and says, incomplete sentence, here's how you could fix it, or here's how you could fix it, with revising strategies right there. Because so often, by the time we've worked through the process and they're doing their final draft, many things that could have been corrected could have been stopped right away if it was one-on-one, but it's not. It's one-on 25, 6, 7, 8 students. This device would help me do that. I feel like it would be like having a really great assistant teacher. And then cloud organization. So It's in the cloud. If you've got internet access, your materials are there. It's not as if you, on the LearnPad that is, it's not as if you could leave it in your locker or leave it at home. If it's been done through the LearnPad, it's available. And then, of course, we'll be saving lots of paper and trees, and that's always good for the world. And then who will pioneer? Well, we're hoping fourth grade students. We have discussed this at great lengths and find that for our fourth graders, they're just at the right age. They're ready. They're ready for these tools. Many of them, as I said, and you know better than I, have had the tools at home accessible to them for playing, maybe not so much for learning. And our hope is by, I want to say training, but by educating fourth graders through the steps and truly learning the process of being a good digital citizen. One of the first steps we took this year in social studies was to go through the modules on common sense media and become digital citizens before we were using even the iPads, the netbooks, and doing things in the computer lab down here. So we would continue to do that because with that, it's a responsibility that needs to be taught, earned, because with that comes the right to be doing your work digitally. And then the fourth grade teaching team, my support right behind me here, I'm giving them my backs because I know they don't mind. And then our technology team as well. Like I said, they have spent a year truly researching all of this with the encouragement by our administration, Ms. Yanaselli, Mr. Cassell, and then our pastors have given the LearnPad pilot program their blessing as well. And with that, I'm going to let Mrs. Davina give you all the technology lingo.
Okay. The tech team also wanted to look at the question, is CJB's infrastructure ready for educational reform? And we began by looking at our wireless system. And last summer, we had a new wireless system put in. We had all new wireless access hubs put in throughout the building and relocated. And when we asked our technology company, MIS, to do this, we stressed to them that we wanted a system that would be capable of handling one-to-one program. All right, we already were thinking a year ago about that this is going to be what's going to be in our future, and we want to be prepared for this. And MIS has assured us that what they have installed will meet these needs. We also took a look at our bandwidth. This year, we've increased our bandwidth to 100 megabytes per second. And at first, MIS had a little concern about that. And after talking with them and with Tierney Brothers, we have all agreed that we think for this first year, if we pilot it with the fourth grade, the 3 fourth grade classes, this will be enough bandwidth. As we increase this and add the one-to-one program in the other classes, then this is something we'll have to address again. But for this year, it will be fine. We also went and looked at our switches, and we replaced all of our old switches. Again, we just want a smooth transition. As there's all this new traffic going through our system, we want to make sure we can meet the needs. You know, and the kids, all of us are the same. We get very frustrated if the internet is slow, if it's glitchy, all right? And so we want to avoid that. And to avoid that, we made sure that our infrastructure is ready to handle this. It was also very important to us that we had the support of MIS. And they were here for the initial meeting that Tierney Brothers gave to the administration and to the faculty. And I do have a hard copy of their full report that I'll be glad to share with anyone who would like to see it. But I also just came up with a few things that they highlighted in the report. First of all, they talked about the wireless that they had installed. Not only did they say that they're confident that it will meet the needs that we will have here with the one-to-one program, but that also the system that they put in has a built-in security. So you're going to see with this device, it is, as Mrs. Stroud said, a very secure device. And that's what one of the main things that drew us towards this device. But also, if a teacher decides that she doesn't want to be limiting or controlling exactly which websites they're looking at, she wants to give a class the freedom, she can do that and be confident that they're not going to get to inappropriate sites. because even though she's opened up the web for them on the LearnPad, our wireless will pick up our firewall, and so the device in front of them will be just as secure and safe as the computers that are in the lab across the hall. So that is a very nice feature to have with our wireless. As I said, we talked about the broadband, and we feel confident that it will be good for next year. They mentioned about the compatibility, that the hardware and software is an Android operating system, but it is a closed system, that only the approved applications and the allowed websites will be able to be accessed by the students. They also mentioned in their report about the life expectancy of an Android tablet, and they said that mostly it's about 3 to 4 years, and they were a little concerned whether the battery would last that long. So I did talk to Tierney Brothers, and they're confident that the battery will last as long as the device. Also, what I was concerned, even not thinking that way, I was thinking of getting through the day and making sure. And it has a 10-hour battery, and even if I'm looking over at Carol Ann, who'll be like, it's 10 hours, but you hear that, at least if we can get 8 hours. So if they're saying 10 hours, I'm confident that we can get 8 hours, which is our school day. Now, you might also say, with the battery life, it's going to be how much use and abuse you give to your device. You know that if you have your cell phone at home, you plug it in, you forget about it for a day or two, or you have that tablet that you plug in. As it's sitting there, you're eating away some of the life of the battery. So if you do that with the LearnPad, it's going to be the same way. Also, just with the device itself, if you abuse it, it's not going to last as long. But one of the cool things with the LearnPad is that the core part of the LearnPad is the software that goes with it, as you're going to be seeing in a few minutes. In summary, from what MIS had to say, as I said, the bandwidth issue, but then they go on to say that the LearnPad has the edge at the moment with regards to the educational market. They are in partnership with many educational publishers, which provides them plenty of e-learning content. MIS can say LearnPad is a software, is the technology leader in the educational market at the moment, but the competition is always there, and there will be other products that will come out and make this technology more crowded. But you know yourself, how long have you had your cell phone, your tablet, your computer? You can go out and buy the latest, greatest, shiniest device out there, and within 6 months, it's already becoming obsolete, and there's something newer and shinier out there. So, I mean, with any product that you buy, it could be, top of the line right now, and as time goes on, that's just how technology is. So just to restate the goal that Ms. Lau had mentioned at the beginning of our presentation, our goal really, what we're hoping is that we will have a LearnPad in the hands of every incoming fourth grader for the 2014-15 school year. And the reason why we're pretty confident that this goal can be met is because, number one, we've done our homework. We spent the past year reading educational materials where professionals have listed steps that you need to follow in order to be successful and have a successful one-to-one program. We've investigated a number of different devices that are out there. And though, there are other devices out there that can do the educational component, but they're also social media devices, they're entertainment devices, they're gaming devices. And what we wanted to provide for our students is an educational device. And that's what the LearnPad is. All right, whether they are here at school or they are at home, it is an educational device. If they play games, if they watch a YouTube video, it's an educational game. It's an educational video. And what's so great about the LearnPad is that a teacher can assign a YouTube video for their students to look at, and that's all they can get to. They won't even see, when you go to YouTube, there's all those other, and sometimes not very appropriate suggestions of other videos to look at. Those will not come up. They can't sit there and decide, oh, I'm going to venture off and try something else. They can only get to that one video or that one game. And so this alleviates those distractions. And then Finally, we have read about other schools who have already implemented the one-to-one program. Ms. Lau, Mrs. Drown, and myself, we also went and we visited a school that has started with the LearnPad. They're piloting a program this year with their 8th grade students. Also, number 2, we want to keep, it's important that we keep our blue ribbon status and we stay competitive. We want our students leaving CJB being prepared to meet the digital learning that they are, I guarantee you, they are going to see as they continue their educational learning. Is this the right grade? Like Mrs. Drown said, we have a team of enthusiastic, well-trained, capable teachers who can make this program a success. I'm very confident in that. Are the 4th grade students ready? Again, as Mrs. Drown said, we have found that 4th grade is the ideal year to start introducing digital citizenship. A really great analogy was made that I liked is that we need to start with training wheels. Instead of maybe jumping into this with our 8th graders who will say they're ready for a motorcycle and want to skip all the steps of getting onto a bicycle. And with our 4th graders, we can take this slowly and teach them about how to be a good digital citizen and then also how to use this device to learn. We also, as far as the right grade, then also which device. And after all of our research, we have found, we are confident that the LearnPad is the right device. Now you might be saying, okay, we picked the 4th grade, you're kind of the guinea pigs, and you are, and with that, there's risk. There's risk with everything, all right? And what we are hoping is that by the end of this evening, after you hear all that we have to say, that you will feel like we do, that risk is very low, but the benefits are extremely high. And that's what I hope that you will see by the end of this presentation. And what I'd like to do now is to turn over the floor to Carol Ann LaPointe, and she's a representative from Tierney Brothers. She's going to show you the device. She's going to give you the specs on the device, show you the features, and then most importantly, she's going to show you what the teacher and the communication portal looks like, because that is the heart of this device. But before she does that, what I'd like to do is just to show you a 30-second, I promise it's short, video of the LearnPad in action with a 4th grade class. You have your speakers on, right, Ms. Long?
Mm-hmm.
Carol Ann, introduce herself, and I'm going to do a little switching here.
Well, that was a great start. What do you do the rest of this week? You travel with me? Thank you very much. I'm Carol Ann LaPointe. I am with Tierney Brothers. I'm local here to Illinois. I actually live in Burr Ridge. So they definitely have someone near and dear here. My past, just a little bit behind me, I did teach science for 20 years. So I am not foreign to what it's like to be behind that desk with 30 children out there with everything from, Facebook on their minds to hormones raging and everything else in between. So what I'm going to try and do is go through as much as I can, kind of the highlights. There was so much more than what you're going to get here tonight. But from a parent's perspective, I have 3 children of my own. I have 2 in college finally, thank gosh, and one just got an internship. And then I have a sophomore at Hinsdale South High School. From teaching 20 years. Additionally, I sold for Samsung for 2 years. I have an iPad at home and a Chromebook. I love them. They're great devices. There's no doubt about it. I love my iPad and I love my Chromebook at home. My kids love to play their games and do their web searches on them. But when it comes to a classroom, with all that great stuff that's out there, I would only be packing my LearnPad as an educator. And the reason is because I can actually have that gentle guidance in order to determine what the children are going to view to create that educational content. So I'm going to go through as much as I can the highlights of it from a parent's perspective. Most of it is inside of your folders as well. But the LearnPad solution, as Janet said, is so much more than just this device. Is this a great device? Absolutely. It's an Android. I sold lots of Samsung 10.1s. And honestly, I'm not exactly sure how the teachers are doing with building lessons and delivering educational content. And the content filters that are required then and the school system's infrastructure to keep them going from Facebook and even iPads once they get the cuffing can get out. So if there's any infrastructure folks here, you'll know what I'm saying. On the LearnPad, that can't happen. The LearnPad consists of three main parts. Okay, the device I'll go through in a moment here separately. So you have the device. The one that your wonderful 4th grade educators have selected is the device with the portfolio, the 10-inch class device, and a Bluetooth keyboard. Okay, and I know that they're still mooshing around a little bit for sure in the portfolio or the blue bumper. I think your students are definitely ready for some keyboard. It's a life skill now. It's not an option. My son keeps trying to get his sisters to type papers for them, and they're making some pretty good money off it. So we don't want that to happen. It's a life skill, career and college readiness. With that being said, it was a great introduction to this software management, and that is truly where the magic is of the LearnPad solution, without a doubt. And I'll go into there. But rest assured, one thing that Mary and Janet and Penny and the other 4th grade teachers will have is professional development. Because just like your students learn, just like you learn in school every day, honey, these teachers have to learn how to work with all of these great tools that they're going to be provided with. So professional development will certainly be a key part of that so that your 4th grade faculty is ready to utilize all of this. Select digital content. Within the content store, there's already over 1,000 educational apps. Okay, and these are educational apps. They've been vetted educational apps. So they're not going to be provided with games that don't have an educational purpose. Are there games? Yeah, a lot of them. We all know that there's educational games. They're there. Anything that is web-based can be housed in that digital content. And I'll be getting into each one of these sections separately as we go through. This is considered our 10-inch class. It's considered the Quattro bundle. This is really small, but I know it's inside each one of your folders as well. So the device itself is 10-inch class, quad-core processor. There's 16 gigabits of storage within here. Since it is an Android, if any of you are teachers maybe sitting here, you know that you love your flash. It's an Android. So they don't lose any of their flash capabilities. There's an SD card slot, so it starts out with 16 gigabits, but it can certainly hold up to 64 gigabits. It also has a USB port, so that if your student wants to save his paper to a USB drive and bring that to school and put it in, he can. So it can go from your home computer into the LearnPad. It's very flexible and has headphones as well. So the device itself, this has been made for education. This is not something you can buy in Costco, Best Buy, or any of those places. This is steel corners on here, this is Gorilla Glass, it has been made for education. This is not sold to commercial or enterprise. LearnPad solution is strictly sold to K through 12 education, and that is it. Our sole purpose is for educators. And 3/4 of actually my company or former teachers within us, within our company. Connectivity, it is dual band. Very importantly for Janet's wireless infrastructure here, single band device is just not going to work. I'm not going to get into that because you just want to know that it's going to work. And the dual band device is going to do that. It has 21 channels, so it will get these through connected to the access points much quicker than a single band. Same chipset as the iPad. And it does have Bluetooth on it for that keyboard that is there. It also has a rear, front and rear facing camera, which no, they won't be taking pictures of the wrong things and posting them on Facebook at night, and I'll tell you in a little bit why. Also GPS, so that if oh gosh, if I think of my daughter just come home from college right now, she's got piles of clothes everywhere. If that LearnPad's under that pile of clothes, they'll be able to find it on that GPS. If the student forgets it in the bathroom, they'll be able to find it by GPS. Kids are kids.
Should we use it to find them?
No, I'll have to ask that. I'll have to ask that question. So the device itself, first of all, is just for that, you're going to have to do a little work. Device is a great device. It also comes, and again, I know that you probably can't see this back there, but you also have in your folder the productivity apps that come already loaded on the LearnPad. Okay. And within the productivity apps that are already loaded on the LearnPad, they'll have the Socrative assessment so that they can take a polling in their classrooms, A, B, C, D, yes, no, did you understand it? There's not a Likert scale, which is like that 1 to 5 scale. But there is immediate feedback that they can assess so that if they're split into groups and the blue group doesn't get it, we can go back as a prescriptive measure and already help that group. So from a teacher's standpoint, that is wonderful to have. And normally you can spend, I sell Smart, I sell Promethean, Tierney Brothers sells 310 some educational products. So I sell a lot of things. And I know that the clicker systems for the smart boards can run for a set of 24, $3,000. You don't even need it. You've got it right already built onto this unit. You do get the best of both worlds. This is an Android. So yes, it works with Google Docs. Yes, it works with Google Drive. However, it also has Kingsoft Office on it. So all of Microsoft Office tools are on this device as well. And I know from Fortune 500 companies down to Fortune 100 companies, I usually see them working in Microsoft Office. Okay. Actually, my daughter just got an internship. They're Microsoft Office. I know our company needs Microsoft Office. Think of your company. Is it Google stuff or is it Microsoft Office? There, I know. So it does have that. So it is preparing your students. What's great about it though, you get the best of both worlds. You get Google Docs, Google Drive, and you get Microsoft Office. So you get them both. A LearnPad reader that is in there, so it can work for student note-taking and dictionary. This EdSafe browser is something that Janet was mentioning. When we get to the dashboard, I don't want to spend too much time in there because it can kind of go on and on and on. But in a nutshell, what that EdSafe browser does is when your teachers sit down to any internet-enabled device, they pull up their teacher software management board. Okay. And they are actually in there preparing their lessons, everything that they've ever worked on and gathered in there. In addition to that, we've got the Olympics that have been going on. I mean, I taught science, so I think, okay, how can I pull in real-world application from some of that? Because that's what kids relate to. How many times did I get really frustrated when I hear those students go, why do I have to learn this? When am I ever going to use it? I know you've heard it before. You have. Well, that's why teachers do need the ability to pull in that real-world application. And what the LearnPad is capable of doing is actually using that YouTube video or anything from the internet, and it has a lockdown EdSafe browser, which you have an entire PDF on in your folder as well. What that means is that your faculty can then take them to YouTube, take them to the internet. However, the only readable or available piece of that web page will be the web page that they pick to have read, including the links within that article. including all the YouTube videos that are on the side. Because the last one they want to do is watch the one the teacher told them to, right? They're kids. So that is the EdSafe browser. It's SIPA compliant. And that is one of the things that really set this apart from any other device on the market, is that gentle guidance, that gentle control that your faculty can have, but yet not cheat your children from realizing what's going on in that big world out there that really relates to what we're learning in class today. And it's important for them to realize the value of what they're learning and how it's applicable to what's going on in the big world. Sketchpad, so that they can do all sorts of art and so forth within there. Writing, of course, I just put a stylus on here. This is one of our free giveaway styluses. It does hook right in here, so that way your students are less likely to use it if your teachers decide that there's a stylus. But that was a giveaway one, so it's a real cheaper one. Mind mapping's in there, which is, if you've never seen that before, that's where they can, a lot of times, literature, right there. Yeah, graphic organizing. You start with the main idea, they can go out to the sides and create from there with mind mapping. Additional utilities that are in there, calculator, camera, QR code scanner. This entire process works on QR technology, which is really neat and adds a lot of different variations to how this can actually be used. Thesaurus, network share, viewer, and plenty more. And those sheets are in there. One of the things that I know that your faculty loves. You taught for how long, honey?
31 years.
Have you done some good things in those past 31 years?
I think so.
Yeah. I bet you have a lot of PDFs, a lot of PowerPoints, maybe, I don't know if you have smart or, you have a lot of things.
But I have all the smart stuff.
What if I told you you can't use that anymore? Because we're getting a new device.
I know I can, because I've already studied this.
She's experienced great things. Her students have learned from great things she's done over the year. Absolutely everything Penny has ever used over those years is savable and usable on the LearnPad. Everything will be turned into a resource in the software management portal that can be on any internet-enabled device Penny chooses to use. If she wants to use an iPad to go to learnpad.us, she can. If she wants to go to her desktop that's a Dell and go to learnpad.us, she can. She is one of the teachers that will be in the administrative portal, and she can reach that on her spring break when she's in Hawaii on her iPhone and go in there, and guess what? Her plane got delayed. She couldn't make it back. I'm going to go in and create a, yeah, right, Penny. I'm going to go in and create a lesson, and I'm just going to email or text the QR code to the sub in there with all my children. And the lesson will go on. Potentially, snow days will go on. So there's a lot of things here to make.
So smart, greater have to make them up, right?
I'm going to have to watch walking out of here because the teachers are going to do it. But everything that they've ever done is savable into there as a web source. So this QR code stuff, we've all seen them. Most of you are all familiar with QR codes. What basically happens is as the teachers sit at their management portal, and I'm going to go live in just a moment, they create lessons. They will be taught how to create lessons. And Penny did some great work over her spring break. She was working over her spring break. They will create these lessons. And when they create lessons, it generates a QR code that is, there's never too many alike. And that QR code is then wirelessly transmitted to connectivity, of course, to their LearnPad devices. Not only in the school, but at home. School and home. If you have Wi-Fi at home, those teachers can actually get in there, remove the camera. They can send a remedial worksheet. They can take a picture of the detention that doesn't look like your handwriting, send it to you. There's a lot of really neat things. And as they grow as a faculty and learn all these tricks, it will just continue to grow and flourish, and it's great things. So, with a little bit of action here, what I'd like to do is, I told you I did even. You get to be the first student here. QR codes. Couple ways to bring them up on any of these devices. One, now, obviously I'm not even looking at this, so I don't know how I'm going to do. Did it bring up a camera? I didn't do so well on there. It has now brought up the camera, there's a red line. Here's a camera hole. If you can just aim at this line, what we're gonna do is, that had the pyramid on it. Which one did you catch? You just caught that up there. That's how easy that QR code can be in changed lessons. However, I think it was the same lesson. Catch this one. Draw a circle, or you can touch the QR code scanner. That's it. Before your student gets to the seat, he's going to have this lesson on there. And to top that all off, we're working on my ad hoc network in here. We're not even on the school's wireless. Is this lesson on the face? The QR code. I can't see it. There you go. And now he already has a new lesson. So there's a number of ways that this can be done. One, if it goes to a younger age, you can draw a circle on the front, or there is a QR code reader right up here, this square that's right here. It brings up that same camera that he was trying to bring up. Two, the student can draw the picture. You can just hit the little home on there. Oh, you're good. You're back to the front. Three, teacher can actually push it from their iPad, their Chromebook, their desktop, or a LearnPad if they choose to work from a LearnPad. Anywhere untethered in their room, in the front, in the back. I know one of my favorite places to be when my students were working were behind them. Because then I actually didn't have to watch them. They didn't know I was there, and they thought I was watching them when they were doing their work. They'd have to turn around and do one of these to know that I was actually watching them. So untethering the teachers so that if it's your child that needs that one-to-one attention, they can be there with them, but they can also work from whatever they're carrying in the classroom in order to be able to do that. That is QR code technology. Let me finish here. Normally this presentation is really in-depth, so it was hard for me to cut it down to where I really wanted to go. With the cloud-based management portal, you have a distribution platform where all your teachers' content and curriculum and everything else is stored. There is unlimited storage on Amazon's cloud, so as many ebooks as they want to put up there, there is no charge for that. You've just saved your school a lot of money. You know how much storage it costs on servers somewhere else? That's a lot. There is no charge for storage on there. They'll be able to store all their PDFs and Word documents uncharged, and Amazon's never went down. Google went down a little while, a couple months back. Amazon's never went down. Content management, the teachers will have all their content in one spot. You know, after teaching 30-some years, how many file cabinets you have, how many USB drives all over the place, how many books and worksheets and everything else. The faculty will be able to sit down to their laptop or whichever device they want to access learnpad.us on, and all their content will be in there. They will be organized. Everything will be there. They will do save as, put everything in there, and from now on, it will be there and it will grow with them over the years. Digital classroom control. This is something that your teachers are going to love, and you will as well, because it will allow your teachers to have classroom management with these devices. And when I say management, this is part of the teacher management portal. And I put it up, I'm going to go live, but then it's really tiny, so it's going to be hard for you to see. Within that management portal, anywhere in the room they are, they can access any of these different capabilities for your students with the LearnPads. They can stop activity in the middle of it. They can turn it back on. They can turn the volume totally off. They can mute it. They can send text messages. They can check for updates. Let's say this corner over here, you didn't get that math. You know what? I'm gonna send you a different worksheet. You're gonna work on it. They'll be able to go in here, send it out to that group. It is individualized learning. It's as much individualized learning as that needs to be. That can be at school as well as at home. Anywhere there's in the internet. So the grocery store, anywhere there is Wi-Fi, this is capable of working. Some of the other features they'll be able to take screenshots of what your student is, the beautiful pictures your child is drawing in Sketchpad. They can save it for parent-teacher conference time. They can save the beautiful ones and maybe the not so beautiful ones, so we can talk about it. Video streaming live of what's going on in the classroom on every single LearnPad, or just 1 or 4 or 5. They could do a presentation from Johnny's back in the corner because they did such a great job, and then discuss it with the whole class, or have 3 or 4. And they will have files so that your students' work, again, a huge cost saver for your school. I don't know how many reams of paper you may go through in a school year. It's a lot. From now on, those papers can be turned in right from this device, at home or at school. If you don't have the internet at home, it can be saved to the device, and as soon as the student walks into the school's network and turns on the device, it's immediately uploaded and pushed to the file folder of the individual teacher. So papers go out, papers come in, but we didn't actually cut any trees down. And those reams of paper can really add up. So there's a couple ways that this is going to save your school a lot of money. I don't want to go there just yet, because what I'd like to do is go live on here. Sorry about that. And just kind of show you something. So if we can, if you get one of these and they timed out, just press the one button up here and they'll turn back on. So would you take a lady back to that corner back there, and and then we can pass them around. You can't have it the whole time. You have to share. And maybe we can put one back over here. Yeah? You can share with everybody? You're ready to share.
I know. And then we'll start with the team, we don't share.
I don't have the Bluetooth connected on this keyboard yet, but hopefully we can kind of pass them around and share between the tables. So here's one here. Please play with them. What you're looking at on the screen is a typical lesson. Within each one of those icons are the resources, and I think what I'll do is, this is the management portal. Okay. These are all the lessons that I've created over working. So you can see how much fun it can be, and get backgrounds, icons, different ways of arranging those. Real quickly, hopefully, come on. They want to play.
She a certain percentage of
You could probably do it better than me.
I'll be there.
One thing I did forget to tell about, which will be a cost savings for us, is that what's nice, now that Caroline has mentioned about the QR code, is that setup. We won't have to pay our technicians to come in and spend hours setting up each device for each student. The technician will just stick it and sit at any device, as Caroline said, set up our network, create a QR code, and then the students can literally take it out of the box, scan the code, and then their device will be ready. So we won't have to be spending money on having technicians set up the different devices.
Okay, well, while that's spinning in, I'm trying to go back to the dashboard controls. On each and every one of these LearnPads here, I'm borrow that back, I'm sorry. Basically, this is what the teacher has put onto this device here. When the student would actually tap on this, these are the different resources. Let's say Penny or Janet has actually clicked on, and it saves it right into here. This is where the student works within each one of these. Teacher can put all her directions on there, or she can put all the resources that she wants that content to be within her lesson. And that happened to be a calculator, which I didn't. So as you have these and you're passing them around, feel free to go in there and take a look at each one of the resources that they put the camera in there, that they're actually using. And you'll notice that there's the Chrome browser in here, the Firefox browser. So when research time comes and they've proven their digital citizenship, and we know that they need to go research on the big internet, that's capable. The beauty of it is when we need to stream down and they only want them to go to one spot on the internet, they can do that as well, and they do that from the management portal. So they have the whole internet, or as little as the teacher decides they want available to their students in the classroom. So as you're looking at these, when you want to go back, the little house at the bottom will always take you to the front page. On this unit here, it's at the bottom. The little house is on the top at the smaller unit that's right there. So we are still spinning. Wow. I was trying to get back to my dashboard, and it's still spinning. Ta-da. You must have a lot of interference. Good one that we should just landline.
Mrs. Brown, can I ask you a question? What's your plan for next year? Are you going to have the tablets be used 100% of the time in the classroom? 50%? Do you have an idea?
It, depending again on, the interest from the parents, because
Okay.
obviously we need your support. So that's gonna weigh on the final decision, but the thought is, let's say all 3 classes have LearnPads and the students are using them primarily. We're hoping to use them every class to some degree. Now, I can't say, religion, I'm thinking religion. What can we do in religion? We can do the Blessed Are We reviews, which many of the kids do at home. We can do a lot of research in religion. We would be able to scan some of the activity pages that we do now.
Okay.
And do those on the LearnPad.
Okay.
But as far as reading, math, science, social studies, I see us doing, I'd say 85 to 90% of our work on the LearnPad.
Also mine.
It's something I wouldn't want in their locker, and that's not like a spiral. We have to have our spiral today. You have to have your LearnPad today.
Right, and like with math, do you still do problems on the board? Would the kid or the student walk up, do a problem on the board, or is it everything going to be done?
No, we're gonna have to transition, because again, our 3rd graders, we know what they're used to, and we know how much technology has been built into their 3rd grade program, so we know where they're coming from to us, so we'll have to start slow. We'll have to move into it, and like I said, and that would be part of social studies, we do, and you're familiar, Mrs. Jennings has a 4th grader this year too, with what we've done this year with digital citizenship and getting that, but a lot of that had to be done at home, again, because of the devices. We're hoping we'll be able to do that a lot quicker, because we'll have that available to us right from the beginning.
Okay, if I can jump back in there. A little bit of my Wi-Fi here wasn't doing so good. What you're going to notice up here is you have live. Somebody's turning it all around, he's turning his device all around. Your teachers can actually, when they look at their dashboard, they'll have every one of your students' device up there. They will know what each and every student is actually doing on their device at any point in time. They can actually take one of these, and they're doing a lot of spin actions here. Present one. So I don't know whose LearnPad this is right now. The teacher can actually present one LearnPad at a time. This is live, and this is just off my little ad hoc network I got going up here, that everything is connected, and that's why this was,
Yeah, a little time.
obviously your school's network is a lot better than this little puppy right here. This is exactly what's going on in that LearnPad. That would additionally mean that math problem, that student could be sitting there with that stylus and writing out that math problem, and the whole class gets to see it. Or Penny could be in the back corner with hers and annotating over the class of how to do that math problem. Or, and I can go on and on and on, and somebody's really going to town on that LearnPad, but that's all right, that's a good thing. Or we can go back and put up all of that on the screen. So that way we have, well, let's say we have a debate going on. We could put up all 4 screens that are up there, 4 different types of math problems, whose introductory paragraph, and compare and contrast right within that classroom. Think of the engagement that's going on. This is all 25 students, or how many other students are in there, or just 1 student, or just the teachers. Now, instead of just having 1 whiteboard in your class and 2 pens, you've got every single one of your students actively engaged in what's going on. Now, that's just getting started here, now that I've got the management portal up here and work. This would then include that at any point in time, I can go right here to this class view, and that's why I made it larger before, and take a picture of any screen that's here to say for your parent-teacher conferences. This includes, of course, the live that you're seeing. This includes that I can make just this one take up the whole screen and discuss from there. Now, over here, this checks constantly inside and out. So as a remedial, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and push a new lesson to all of these LearnPads. So let's say I'm in the middle of class and the group just isn't, I don't know what Cheeky Chick's doing over here. Funny little names. They can go in, whatever lessons that they have, and actually push from here, or their iPhone, or from whatever tablet, and at any point in time, they can push that lesson wirelessly to all the devices out on the room. If it says 4 devices are contacted, it is pushing that lesson out to the LearnPads right now. Again, this can be at home or at school. So this is an additional way, besides the QR codes that can be taped right outside the hall, or on the cart, or texted to your cell phone because your child was absent because they're sick. They can scan it on their cell phone and have the whole day's lesson. Great way to communicate. They can actually, as long as you have the internet at home, that can be a continuation throughout the day. This LearnPad here. I'm going to go ahead and activate them all. Other classroom controls that are in here, they can push that out to a group or whichever LearnPads they choose. Now, this is one that teachers love. They're playing a game, they're great, they're doing a little math game in there, but now I need your attention up here because I want you to focus, or you're watching a video. Eyes up, you guys, come on. Watch up here. Nope, they're still down on their iPads, they're engrossed in their learning. The teachers can actually go in here. You'll notice you just got the science lesson I pushed. And again, that's over this MyFile. That will happen at your home as well. The teacher can push that lesson. They can push a remedial worksheet if you have an ELL student or a special needs student, modified tests from anywhere. If you're internet enabled, you have Wi-Fi, this is anywhere at home and at school. So this science lesson was just pushed to all of yours. But now I needed your eyes up here. What I can do is I can actually go ahead. You're slow. It's going to shut you all down. It's going to turn your screen black. I was in West Aurora sitting on the floor with their kids, and all of their students they were sitting in a circle. And it was so neat to see these little kids. They were actually teaching each other on there. One was playing a math game, and the little girl was trying to text her teacher, which is an application you can put on these. You can put any application on there. And the little boy was showing the girl how to do it, and I was sitting on the floor, and he's like, oh, Miss Carol Ann, I better stop and finish my game now, or otherwise Miss Leo's going to turn my screen black. The teacher from anywhere in that room can stop what's going on there. The teacher from anywhere in that room, you see, right now we're just too hard up for the Wi-Fi in here. The teacher from anywhere in that room can turn the devices back on from whatever device she has or her desktop. She can also send out to those devices that message. So if you need to switch groups, if the child's in the LMC, if they're out in the hall, they can send that sound out to there. I can also actually text you a message. This is at home and at school, mind you. So it's no more, education necessarily stops here. It continues into the home. So now in the bottom right-hand corner of your device, you're going to see a little text message that comes up. It says, great job. If we're getting connectivity in here, I'm not exactly sure.
You got it.
I had all the devices on here. You should have, that message is all out to you. The message cannot come back. There's an application that can be, if the teacher so chose, to put onto the devices that would allow the students to text messages back. That may not be for the best thing, so that's up to the teacher if they want to put that on there. Just one way from our professionals might be good. It checks in automatically every 30 minutes to the cloud. So anything that the teacher changes, and again, if they need it quicker than that, let's say this kid's got on the bus, science class left the camera on, and we didn't want that camera to be on because, we know what some kids want to take photos of, and then it goes from there, and you just read it in the newspapers. The teacher went to Jewel. She's shopping. Oh my gosh, I left the camera on. She can pull out her iPhone, go to learnpadprojectcomputerversion on her iPhone, remove the camera from her lesson, click that little heart, and as soon as your child's device hits Wi-Fi, camera's gone. This is a great means of communication between your home and school. And as your teachers use it, they will learn and they will grow with that. The lock on the device, right now West Aurora is rolling out, East Aurora is rolling out, Joliet 86 is rolling out, Moline is rolling out, St. Peter's in Geneva has been rolled out for a year. Joliet Diocese is heavily considering it right now at the moment. Leeds 15 up in Schaumburg, and Schaumburg 54. This has only been here since I was hired last November. I'm the first rep in the state of Illinois. When educators see the amount of communication that this allows between parent and home and school, and the gentle guidance so that your students are being educated and not going to all these other things. I mean, when you turn on your computer, do you immediately go to your work? Or how long do you spend looking at MSN? Me too. When we need our children to sit down and do their homework, don't we wish they would sit down and do it? When they created textbooks, did they put in there teen magazine articles? No. We want to educate our students. This LearnPad solution is built for education. It is meant for education only. It is not sold in any other market or vertical besides education. If I could get back here, I would go into quite a few others, but I'm just having a difficult time scrolling back. I'm sorry? That was actually up. No, it's on here. Yep. The bundle of the price with the folio keyboard and the device that's on it is $359, and that includes the folio as well as the Bluetooth keyboard. The device itself is $329. Okay, but that is just a device. You're right. That software solution and that device is going to get old. You know those iPad Airs? 2 years from now, you might as well throw them away. Who knows what that technology is going to look like? It may be a chip behind the student's head. The sustainability of this solution is the software management portal. It grows with the teachers over time. They can share lessons across the grade level. They can share lessons in a content area. Mary can open the school day across the entire school with a prayer on everybody's screen. And she can deliver that, pushing it from her desk, from at home, or at a conference that she's attending. This is a new means of, and that software solution is the sustainability portion that there's never a charge for. There is no licensing fee. All upgrades right now, it's on Jelly Bean 2.2.2, which is the newest. As soon as they come out with a new one, they will. Of course they will. It's going to seamlessly go through Amazon's cloud and be delivered onto each one of these devices, not in the middle of the school day, because the administrator is going to say no upgrades until 4:30 p.m. No upgrades between 8 and 3 when your children need to learn. And those upgrades can be pushed from that management portal and not interrupt class. So that is the price of the entire package there. With that being said, I suppose I would like to go ahead and open it up to any other questions.
I was going to say, just so you're aware, I'm watching the clock because I know we're all, have other things to do this evening. So we are going to answer as many questions. I would, give it another like 15 or 20 minutes or so, and then we'll end there. But that's why I gave you the sheet. If you could have your questions down there, whatever questions that we don't get to, I will send that back. I would appreciate if you could fill out, go home, sleep on this, talk about it with your spouse, think about it, and decide, what you would like to do for next year with your child. And if you could have this back to me by next Tuesday, which is May 27th, and then I'll go through all the questions and I'll post them online so that, you might have the same question. Also, all the parents who couldn't attend today, I'm going to put the whole video online. And so if they have other questions, I'll post their questions and make sure that everyone can see those. So we will open it up now to questions, but like I said, we probably won't get to everyone, so please make sure you put your question on the sheet if we don't get to it.
With the first hand.
Yes,
I saw.
I have a few questions, but she was talking about the pad, and I want to make sure that I understand this correctly. So it's basically 360. So each child I have coming up I will buy them a pad, correct? Like I have a third grader, a first grader, a preschooler. So I will buy each of them a pad when they get in fourth grade. And then that pad, from what I understood, it only lasts 3 to 4 years. So that won't take me through 8th grade. So what happens?
Any device right now is lasting 3 to 4 years.
So then what happens? So then I buy another pad in 7th grade?
If that's what the school has determined the device.
Well, that's what I just want to know. I want to know what I'm in for, really, because we pay for, this isn't, it's expensive. So I want to know what I'm responsible for. So if it lasts 3 to 4 years, it's not going to take me through the end of school. So then you're saying, yes, I will then have to buy each child another 3 pads. So basically, I should account for 6 pads.
Yeah.
For while I'm here at Cardinal
As
Burnett.
you're looking at that now,
Yes, I am.
and because we are in a pilot program, I can't say, no, I can't say no to you. However, one of the things that we're doing is, in addition to considering this a very serious way to move forward on a one-on-one program with our children, we're looking at alternative ways to finance this. But we can't talk about those because even though I've discussed those with the pastors, there's another layer at the Archdiocese. The Archdiocese is corporate sole, and so if we make a purchase that then in turn you could possibly lease from the school, which would be at a much cheaper rate, we have to have permission for that. So we are looking at those options, but I can't tell you tonight that is what we would like to do ultimately, because it would certainly be very conservative on your finances, but I can't tell you for sure that that's something that we're able to do. That's why this year we're piloting. We're pretty certain that this is the device that we want to move forward in the future with, and we think that we would like to do this 4 through 8, but we want to start with where the enthusiasm begins right now, and that's with our 4th grade students.
But one thing I would like to add is that no matter whatever device you have, whether it's an iPad Air or a Chromebook, those devices all have the same shelf life. You'll be replacing the iPad Air in 3 to 5 years. That's usually technology refresh because of all the new things that come out. So regardless of the device, the Android lasts just as long as any of the other devices.
No, I understand it, but right now we just have teachers teaching. And I also wanted to know, what are the numbers? How is this going to affect my child? Is it going to boost her scores? I mean, is it 50%? 75%? What has it shown? I know you said in Illinois it's only been here for a year. Well, where else has it been nationwide?
Iowa, Michigan, Wisconsin.
And what has
Texas.
it done for those schools? Do you have numbers saying using the
Evidence-based
learning
research.
pads is gonna boost your kids'
Specific
scores
to devices and
30%?
one-to-one engagement in the classroom across the board. They're showing 12 points of statistical score raising. Now that is because of the one-to-one device engagement of the kid with the actual device, instead of the little one who's spacing off in the corner waiting their turn to get the pen to go to the smartboard. So we don't have statistics, nobody has statistics to their device. Like iPad doesn't post any statistics either. Neither does Chromebooks. None of them do. But what they do have statistics on would be across the board that one-to-one engagement in classrooms has raised scores across the board on test results. And you can Google that. You can
In
Google
one-to-one, you're just saying from the from the teacher to the child through the computer is what your
Yes,
one-to-one
'cause every
engagement is.
student's engaged. You know, if every student has, whether that was an iPad or a Chromebook or whatever it was in front of them, because every student is actually engaged in front of them, there is research. Per device, nobody's researched that yet. But the research of one-to-one engagement with a device has been researched, and that every child, not just the one in the classroom or the two at the smartboard, but every child can. And that it helps a lot too with the students that are a little shy and they never want to get up there. They don't have to. They have it right here.
So are you only in the Midwest now? You're not out on the West Coast at all?
LearnPad is from the UK. They've been over there for 15 years. If you'd like, you could Google LearnPad in the UK. They've been over there 15 years. They're probably in over 60-some% of their school districts. They've been in the United States for the last year, 1.5 years. They took BET, which is the largest technology show in the world in London, LearnPad did, as well as they took ISTE 2013 for the #1 educational software device in education. So that is the statistical background that I can provide you with. As far as per device, anytime you're going to get one-to-one engagement in that classroom, instead of 30-to-1, you're going to increase scores.
I want to understand more about how the GPS works, because here's one of my first concerns. It's an expensive device. My son is 9, and I'm assuming this is going to and from school. Now it's becoming my problem and my thing that I have to, on top of everything else, keep track of. I've already bought so many lunch boxes for this. That's just an example. They lose things constantly. They lose their whole bag. They throw it. They, come to cross country practice. Their bags are thrown everywhere. That's one of my biggest concerns. I don't want to have to keep buying a new one because he loses it and therefore he can't learn because he doesn't have it.
And I am trying to get to it right now in administration here in the software portal.
I guess just to follow up on that question, what's the warranty on it, so if they drop
It uses
it?
Google Maps to identify where it's at.
What if it gets dropped? What's the warranty?
The GPS has to be powered
Warranty
up.
is
If
when
it's
you
not
say you
powered
have
up,
a
you're not
warranty,
gonna get a GPS
purchase
signal.
extended.
So
There
if
is
it's
extended
turned off and the battery goes
So if
dead,
the kid
GPS
drops it,
has
it's
to
great. So there's my
Well, that's what would happen with a LearnPad or an iPad or a Chromebook too, right?
But those are for personal, like she's using that at personal, it's home, she breaks it, it's her personal thing, it's not going to affect her learning. If she breaks it, then I have to buy another $350 tablet on top of the iPads and everything else that she already has.
Well, if your school is choosing a one-to-one device, I would have to say that this is probably the most secure one. The glass on there is Gorilla Glass. The corners have been built for education. If I could have a little bit better Wi-Fi here, I'd show you the video of actually students dropping it off the school bus, but I'll send that video to Janet. Out of all the devices on the market, this one has been built that when they look at it, we all know are actually hot. Student accountability, just like everything else, there's student accountability that goes to the device. So yes. I don't know if I'm answering the question.
Here's my concern. There seems to be a little bit of uncertainty as to what's going to go on, even past once we buy it, whether or not it's going to be moving forward past the 4th grade. So now we buy this $400 piece of equipment, and let's say it didn't work out, and you decide you're not going to go forward with it. What happens then?
Here. We have talked, and it could be then a tablet. I mean, you would
Oh,
have a
yes.
tablet. It would-
At the root level, it's an Android. It's a regular Android on Jelly Bean 4.2.2. It can be wiped at the root level, and it's just like if you went to Best Buy and bought a Samsung Note 10.1.
Right, which is fine, but my daughter already has like 2 tablets, so now we're.
And really, this is part of why we needed to bring you here. I mean, this may not be what we end up doing.
Mhm.
What we can do and keep it educational and safe right now is LearnPad. What we can't do is we have your children, we have a bring your own device policy right now. What we can do is your children can bring those for their free reading, for their math games. I'm not even sure if they're using them for math games in some of the grades, not. And that's about it. We can't give them internet access, we can't be playing, you know, it would be another distraction. It would be as if they brought their.
Don't get me wrong, I think it's a great, I mean, listen to it, I think it's a great system. What the thing about it is that some of the concerns that other parents have said, and also too, the uncertainty of whether or not, you know, by us purchasing this, that means that they are going to be using it every year till 8th grade.
Unless something terribly disastrous would occur, this is the choice we've made. This
Okay?
is the choice we've made.
But we're calling it a pilot because we want to keep all that data. I mean, we want to be able to say next year, this is what the 2000, wait, what will they be, 2019 class? Are they doing class in 2019, whatever? We would want to be able to say that this is what the data shows, even for our 5th grade team or for our 6th grade team. I mean, they too want us to collect data and come back saying, we made the right choice. The choice we've made right now is based on what we've heard from others, what we've read elsewhere. We haven't had the personal experience other than the 1 week in the classroom and a little bit I had at home, you know, other than that.
But they did travel to Geneva, who's had them rolled
True.
out for a year.
And they had nothing but rave reviews about the support, about the professional development from a teacher standpoint. I mean, and the kids as well. The kids were very happy with them. And they were older kids.
Provided by the school district or did the parents pay?
It was a mix. I mean, they had a mixed thing going there.
You said that there was an extended warranty, what's the pricing on the extended warranty?
And does that cover dropping it?
I don't know
feeding
if-
it?
Water.
There is an extension. But that would be discussed, you know, as we get over a couple more of the hurdles, but it's there. Honestly, every iPad, every Chromebook, any device you put in your children's hands, there's a student accountability. The real question is do you want your individual students to have one-to-one engagement in the classroom? Do you want them to be 21st century digital learners? Do you want them to be equal to all the public schools who are adopting one-to-one engagement in the classrooms with devices, whatever the device is, whatever the device
Which
is?
are
But not
provided
the
to
cost
them.
of the parents. There were
Which are
District
provided to them.
140, District 135, both of our districts that we would go to without going here. All of them now 6th grade iPads. So no parental.
Or Mac Airs.
And Mac Airs.
Right, Mac Airs. And again, though, I mean, they don't get to keep them, but I know a bunch of teachers that are in the districts, and they're provided to them by the school. The parents don't have to pay for them.
In a public school though, right?
Right.
Exactly.
No, understandable, but that's why it's okay over there, because the parent doesn't have to pay for it.
Here's my question, once you pay, I think it's a fantastic idea, I think I'm actually surprised that we don't already have this in our school. At $360 and I buy an extended warranty, so say I'm $400 in. After that, now every app my kid wants to put on his iPad, I'm paying $1.99 for it. $1.99, $1.99, $1.99. Mom, I'll give you $2 out of my piggy bank. What am I paying for after the $400 and we have the device? Am I paying for books? Am I paying for each app that Mr. On wants to put on?
No.
Nothing. So everything that they want to do, once I buy it, it's there, I'm not paying another dollar on it.
So there's no textbooks next year then? This is our textbook?
No, well, we have to wait for the textbooks companies to put it on.
The only
They've
one
done
that we have
books.
currently is social studies. We still have a textbook, I mean, you know, we had
We're saying
that
that
with
this
the
device is
at-home
ready for
access.
that, but, you know, we're waiting for the publishing companies to
So where does
do
the
that.
final say-so come from then? Is this a majority vote? Is this an administrative vote? if you guys vote, let's
We're
do
here
it,
tonight
and we
to
just
listen
like.
to what you have to say.
Okay, so you are listening, I appreciate that, and this is a nice presentation. Who comes up with the final say-so? We're gonna do this or we're not gonna do
You
this?
guys.
And then again, it's a majority vote, so
Yeah, where's the voting?
The
the
archdiocese.
minority that doesn't want it, if there is that, is kind of thrown into it.
There's,
I was gonna, okay.
there's a choice here that tonight we're asking you to make. And it's to risk with us going into a pilot program with the LearnPad. The LearnPad, what, the cost was given to us tonight. The LearnPad with the keyboard and so forth is $369. As I said, that we can do with no permission from anyone. But if the school decides, and I'm pretty certain we're gonna move down that path, because as you said back here, this is something that I would have loved to have done 2 years ago. But it takes time, and Cardinal Bernardine can't buy a learning device for every student. You know that, we're a Catholic school. So what we have to do is explore other avenues. And because we just finally made these decisions, we thought it was important to have you here tonight to hear from you about what you think about this particular learning tool. We like it. We think it's probably, and it is the best on the market, but we think it's really a very good opportunity to introduce this to the 4th grade students and move them up. In the meantime, next year is a data collection year with respect to what are we learning from using this device so that we can make an intelligent decision when we roll out a one-on-one program fully in 15-16. In the meantime, what I need to do, and I've spoken to Father Jay, our executive pastor, about, is to, one, see if we are able to make a large purchase for leasing so that our families can lease from the school, because that's how it works, basically. You're all business people, you know that. Because then the price drops. Cardinal Bernardine absorbs the cost, you pay us back over a 2 or 3 year time frame. That's how that works. But we don't have permission from the archdiocese, and the pastors need to have more information. So that's where it is. I'm being as honest with you as I can be.
That's where more of my questions are, is more on the financing of it than the device itself. I like the idea, I think it's a great idea, but I would like to at least see it researched to where there was a leasing program where there's some protection measures built in for a device that maybe is faulty from the manufacturer, or something happens to it along the way, or 3 years or 4 years from now when it needs to be upgraded, there's an upgrade built into the leasing program as well too. It's like, okay, everybody that got them in 4th grade, you're now in 7th grade, those are all getting turned in, you're gonna get new ones, and obviously there's a fee that goes with it, but something where you keep up with the technology.
I ran a laptop program a few years ago when Lenovo was and there's a buyout price. So if these in 2 or 3 years, the student graduates, you can buy a device for $1. Generally, it's $1 because it's 2 or 3 years old.
You know, that might not be feasible either, but that's something I would at least like to see research, so there's an option.
Absolutely, and we're going to be looking into all of that.
Yes.
As I heard you talk about the thing, it's a good idea too. I like it. In terms of textbooks, I couldn't really understand. Are we going to, say social studies is available for you to download these devices? Will my child also get a social studies textbook, or will their textbook be on this device?
The textbook currently for social studies is out there, it's online.
Yeah.
You know, it's
I'm
just a
saying
web
like,
address.
just an example.
So for next year, we'd have both. So
You'd have both.
honestly, I would say right now, we would
Would
do
probably
both.
be, okay.
And I do think sometimes reading from a screen, reading from a book, we have to do both. I mean, it's not like they're
Or you might have
only
the
ever
option
gonna
to
be
purchase the
reading.
book if you.
Yes.
So have you guys, I know people might think I'm crazy, but what about the health risks of these kids sitting, looking at a computer all day, their necks, carpal tunnel, whatever, like, I mean, has that even?
I mean, I think even just sitting at a desk doing work, leaning over.
But you know, they get up, they move around, they go right on the smart board, whatever. But if you're saying they're just gonna be there for 85% of the day and that's what they're doing.
I don't
That's
see
a long
them-
day looking at a computer.
And I don't see them like teaching themselves. I mean, you know, again, they're 9. It's not like they're taking independent studies now and they're all gonna go off and we're going to still have direct instruction. Now we're practicing. That's gonna get turned in, or now we're taking the quiz. Those kinds of things. And I'm not saying we're not gonna need any paper or pens or pencils. I mean, I do think there's still, we're gonna have to work up to this. We as well. And depending on when decisions are made, I mean, if we don't do this training until August, it's gonna take even longer for us to get to where we need to be for your children. If we make decisions now before the school year, you know, we're looking at a summer vacation too, but we're gonna have some homework this summer. If we don't make this decision now, we won't have that homework, yay, but we won't be ready in August either. So I mean, there are a lot of unanswered, and it is, that's why I keep saying a pilot program. It is gonna be an adventure for all of us. Some things we're not all gonna like, and it's gonna be hard, because that's part of this being the first ones to do it. Or we say, no, we don't do it. We let Caroline keep getting data. We won't lose contact with her. We wait and see what happens with St. Peter's, go back to them next year. We could do that. We could wait and hear what's in the news or talk to your neighbors from District 140 and 135. And most of them are gonna say, well, in this class, they use it all the time and that teacher's great. In this class, they don't even, and that teacher said it was waste. You know, it depends. It
And
just
actually,
depends.
135 K2 is looking at over that.
Oh, I had a question over here.
Oh, okay, go ahead, because I'm not.
So, obviously the textbooks, we must pay a hefty fee for our textbooks as a school. So,
We do.
so as we go forward and we transition to this, I'm assuming that all those fees are gonna be wiped out and that will be in the form of possibly a technology credit on our tuition.
Correct. We don't have those answers, but
Right.
I would say yes to that.
Okay.
Because the school does absorb that
Right.
cost. And e-textbooks will be less expensive than the textbooks that that we're buying for you now. And right now, publishing companies are scrambling to align the new curriculum with Common Core standards, which the Archdiocese is working with, but we are not, it is not the end-all be-all for the Archdiocese. We have our own aligned curriculum here. So if we're interested in getting a Langstar's book, and we will be shortly for some grades once we do the curriculum research for this best book out there, then that would be an e-book, hopefully, that we could load onto for everyone.
And
With
then,
a writing component.
the little kids won't be falling over. My poor Grace falls in the parking lot with the weight of her backpack.
That's the advantage of having e-textbooks, e-books, I mean.
And see,
But-
I was gonna go with that.
Well, I just,
also.
real quick, so rolling this out in 4th grade, so then my 6th grader is not, she's
Not
kind of left
next
behind?
year.
She's gonna be jealous.
The year after.
The year after.
It's just 1 year pilot, and then 4, 5, 6, that's what we're hoping.
And then what will happen, when will so it will only start then on a go-forward basis in 4th grade?
Next
So like
year,
my-
and then the following year.
The following year.
5, 6.
4 and 5, yeah.
Oh, and then 6 and 7 after. So you're
We
doing
want to
2.
keep growing up to 8th grade, and I don't know, I'm pretty confident that these devices are going to see them through 8th grade. Will you take it beyond that to high school? You can, because we can wipe everything out, and it just becomes, as Carol Ann said, a tablet. But I think by that time, it'll have seen its use. But also, you think of that from 4th grade, that's 5 years, that they'll have gotten, I think they're worth for like $400.
And also, keep in mind that the high schools today, in 140, in 135, and the Catholic high schools that surround us, are all starting to require their own learning devices for their students coming in 9th grade. There were several high schools over the last 5 years that piloted programs. Some piloted them with sophomores and juniors. Some started with 9th and 10th grade. They're doing iPads. Marist is rolling out iPads for next year. I think there are a couple other high schools, Catholic high schools, that are doing the same thing. They're not doing Mac Airs because they're too expensive, and they don't want to put that financial burden, that much of a financial burden on families. Because in the high schools are not able to finance it either in the Catholic high schools. The families are financing it.
Go ahead.
So building on what she said about the textbooks, one of the things in the presentation was that it will give you ability that if a student is absent, that you don't have to come to school and get their stuff. Okay, but with the books not being an iBook, how is that gonna be possible when they won't have their books?
So for next year, again, as we're all still trying to work this out, they have a home reading book, because we have an old addition to our reading book. They have a home reading book, they have an online social studies book. The books that we would have, the math is gonna be a new program, so I'm not sure what that's gonna provide. The books that they would have to come and get then would be a science book if that was, an assignment. Or if it was, and in most cases, yeah, you're not gonna be able to, if you missed a lesson, just do the work that's on the LearnPad without the actual book at home. So they're maybe not gonna be able to do it all, it might not all get done.
How long do you foresee that it's gonna take till all their textbooks are gonna be available on the
I have no
iBook?
idea, because we're dependent upon the publishers.
Okay, so it's possible that it could take years.
They're all scrambling, they are
To be
scrambling.
honest with you, publishers are going to wait until the last minute to go digital with their books, because it's a lot of money that they're not going to have anymore.
But they're
So again, it could
losing a
be
lot of money
years before
now.
they are available.
2 or 3 years down to the elementary level. And high schools are finally getting more ebooks now, but the elementary, they're being very slow, and I think it's very deliberate.
I think it'd be smart to get our kids used to this, though.
It's not gonna go away, I can guarantee you that, Mrs. Keeklet, right?
Yeah,
See,
Is this optional or is it all or
Yes.
none?
Yes.
Somebody was saying
Optional.
optional before, so if it's optional, then are we gonna have segregated classrooms? This classroom has the pad, this classroom doesn't have the pad? Or is it integrated into one classroom, half the kids have it, half the kids don't? Because that's gonna be a tough learning situation for a teacher.
Right, and I can't imagine half in a classroom having and half not. Being a fourth grader and trying to understand how come he's doing it on the LearnPad and I'm in the workbooks. Or, she's reading her story and I've got the hard book. I would see it then somewhat segregated if we don't all choose to do this. And that was something that we talked about before we ever even did this, and it is something of concern.
Because that's a time-consuming thing. If you're teaching kids with the pad, then you have to teach a lesson without the pad.
Yeah, but my other comment too is then the teachers may concentrate more on the technology on the pad, while the other students that are doing it the traditional way, I wouldn't say get left behind, but when you go through these type of things, you teachers are going to be learning it in the first year because it is a pilot. So our kids may get a little less attention because you're dealing with the technology. Then after you get 1 year in, 2 years in, things are a little better. So there's a risk that there's trade-offs. I'm sure when they roll this out to schools, there's a trade-off in that first year as the teachers come accustomed to it. Because some teachers, even today, when you've been teaching for 30 years, you're used to doing one thing one way. You go into something very new, you can do it a different way. So there's a learning curve. And that's more my concern is the learning curve with the technology and really embracing it.
And yet, we are committed, we see, your child coming in as the individual, but we see those scores as well. We know who's gonna need more help before we ever
Right.
face with the name. And so we've already, in our minds and from our administration, know we've gotta grow all those children, not just the ones who purchased the LearnPads. I mean, we're accountable in the end when we put up the data and say, we've got Ames Webb, we've got Terra Nova, we've got prior report cards. Have we done the right thing? Have we grown all these children with or without the LearnPad? Again, I'm hoping to collect the data to be able to say, with the LearnPad, this is what we're seeing. And I don't know, because I don't have the data yet to say, we're seeing amazing things. I'm hoping in a year, we'll all get back together and we'll say, oh my gosh.
My only other question was too, is my concern is, because technology does move really quick, these things could be, they worked out, I would already did research on this, so in a year or two, these things could be garbage. There could be something else that's brand new, and just going into the purchase versus leasing it. If you lease it and then rent it, you're not losing as much, because it's a less burden, right? You buy get 30 of them. Maybe you just hand them out during class and you don't do the at-home stuff. Because I got privacy concerns around that too, controlling stuff, the cameras and that remotely. But outside of that, I'm thinking that would be the better route to go. Because technology does change. This obviously looks like it's catching on. It's only been in the US for a year and a half. That's not very long. So.
And that was one of my concerns, is that I hate being attached to devices, and all this stuff is really cool, and you can see what you can do with it. But I was curious about Geneva, who has it in place already. Is there a time where you can say, okay, as far as school goes, it's cut off now, where the kids aren't attached to it all the time, they can still be kids outside of school? Not so concerned when they get into high school, they gotta manage their time anyway. There's all kinds of stuff going on, but for fourth graders to say, okay, school's done, go be a fourth grader.
It's one of the modules, and actually.
There are some guidelines on that.
My best, like, quick story to that, the Common Sense Media that does the digital citizenship, that's created, and they have all these modules, and one of it, the song that we sing is about shutting it down, putting it away, going out and playing, da-da-da. And one of the little fourth graders this year, we don't have LearnPads, just with what we've done this year, she's waving her hand, and I called on her and she said, my grandma, when you go in her house, you have to put your phone in a basket. She's got a basket because, and this is exactly how she said it to me, she wants to talk to you. And that's exactly how she wants to talk to you. And you know what? I want to talk to them. I don't want them just looking at a screen. I don't look at a screen all day. I don't want to be looking at the screen and not looking at them. I mean, common sense tells us, but we all know as adults, we've got to model it, we've got to teach it. How many times are you sitting at the dinner table that you got to check that message? And I'm not saying everybody, but I know at least at our house, I've made the thing. The phone can't come to the dinner table. It's everywhere else. So then, yeah, they hear it and they got to go to the bathroom all of a sudden and check it. But it's important that we teach them because this is the future. But I'm sad when I'm sitting out at dinner with my husband and I look over at a young couple and they're not talking to each other at all. They're checking their Facebook or their whatever. They're on their phone. And we need to teach them that there's a time and a place it's got to go away. And I love Grandma's got to talk to you. I'm like,
I know we had a question back there, so we'll take one more, and I'm watching the time, I want to be sensitive to all of your time.
If
so I'll-
something happens and it breaks and it has to be put in, what does your child use then? It's getting fixed. You know what I'm saying?
we were hoping to have a teacher one so that, it's kind of like
will
the loaner if
be
we got a
extras
problem.
in school that would be, they would be able to loan out until theirs gets fixed and then, they would give that back? Or
And maybe not take it
That's
home,
what
but
we're
just leave them in the classroom so at least they can interact in the classroom.
Right.
We're hoping that. I mean, it hasn't. we
Because I
haven't
just
gotten
want
to
to say,
the
would it affect their grades then of getting their assignments done and it's broken, but we're getting it fixed? That was my,
It can't affect. Everything that we do has to be able to be printed out as well.
Okay.
I mean, worst case, again, we don't want to be printing out 70 of them, but if we had to print out 2, that's not a big deal. We should be able to print right from the LearnPad.
Yes, you could have an application on there that can be networked straight to the printer.
Or like, just as an example, what about a kid leaves it at home?
Yeah.
And the mom's downtown, the dad's downtown, what are they gonna do in school all day?
And we talked to St. Peter's about this too, the ones that aren't charged, that's part of the homework. The teacher knocks off a point if they're not coming prepared, they didn't charge it overnight like they're supposed to. Now it's gotta sit on the charger and they've gotta use the extra or sit next to somebody, do it longhand, again, that responsibility thing, but that could happen. That's why we're hoping that we will have, but we could have a loaner and need 3 kids need it. Now,
Yeah,
3 of them
you
are
could
gonna
have
have
3 or
to look
4
on it
to
together and they're gonna have to be doing it.
Sit on the car, cruise.
Two things I'd like to say before we wrap up today, and that's this. We don't have all the answers, that's why we're here tonight. We needed to hear from you. And secondly, any student that would not, because this is an optional choice, is not something that we expect you to do. Some of you are interested, your enthusiasm is expressed through your emails, and we're very appreciative of that, and we hope that you'll move forward. And we don't want you to do it now unless you're definitively convinced that this is a purchase you'd like to make. We have some homework to do. The homework is to find out about a possible lease program. That takes a little time. Hopefully we'll have that information to you before the end of the school year. But please understand this. If we move forward and we have 35 of our families who have leased or purchased, whatever we end up doing. That does not mean that any other student in that fourth grade classroom is at a learning deficit at all. Please understand this. Our teachers know that, we know that. You are here because you expect a good education, whether it's with a LearnPad or not, and you will get that. Whether a student is using a piece of paper as a workbook page, which basically we don't even advocate anymore, because that's not what learning is about. But the LearnPad itself establishes a learner-centered environment, and it optimizes individualized instruction for teachers. That gives teachers the opportunity to not only hover around the students or look on their LearnPad at what is being done with students who may have it, but to walk around the classroom and work with the other students who don't have it. And how we present it to our students will be important, because just because a student doesn't have one doesn't mean that they're at a disadvantage. You wouldn't want to give them that message, nor would we. It's a pilot program.
Can you just lastly explain what we
I was
mean
gonna
by saying
say-
yes or no on this?
Just to give us some idea
Some idea.
of where everyone's at, and then also.
What I'm saying, if I say yes, that means I'm getting one, and if I say no.
You're signing on the
No,
dotted
it's,
line.
we need to see where you're at.
It's just an interest thing, yes
Right,
or no,
it's
an
just an
interest, okay.
interest thing, yes.
But you may want to comment that at the bottom, you know, I'm still thinking, or here's my question.
Yeah, and make sure
Well, I would say yes, but until you find more information out, then I'll answer.
You know what I mean?
No, we
I don't have to think about it like.
all over and answer, and then I'll post the questions and answers online, or.
We have like August.
Yeah, you have.